In rural Japan, long before electricity, cameras, or written records for ordinary people, stories were not entertainment. They were instructions. They explained how the world worked, what could harm you, and what rules could never be broken. One of the most feared categories of these stories involved spirit spouses, supernatural beings who formed relationships with humans. These were not sudden attacks or ghost sightings. They were relationships that developed slowly, quietly, and often ended in illness, madness, or death. Such stories were especially common in isolated villages surrounded by forests and mountains, where people believed the boundary between the human world and the spirit world was thin. This is one of those legends. It comes from old Japanese folklore records and oral traditions passed down in rural communities. The details change depending on the region, but the ending never does. In traditional Japanese belief systems influenced by Shinto and later Buddhism, spirits were everywhere. They lived in rivers, trees, mountains, abandoned houses, and even in human emotions. Spirits were not always evil. Some protected families or land. Others were created through strong emotional events: grief, betrayal, loneliness, or unresolved desire. Marriage, in this belief system, was not only social. It was spiritual. A bond formed through repeated contact, promises, and shared space could connect a human to a non-human entity without rituals or ceremonies. This is why elders warned against inviting strangers into one's home at night, speaking vows in isolation, or forming attachments without witnesses. The legend you are about to hear was told to enforce those warnings. According to the legend, a young man lived alone on the edge of a mountain village. His family had died years earlier, and he survived by farming a small plot of land. One night, during the rainy season, he heard someone knocking at his door. When he opened it, a woman stood outside. She was calm, polite, and appeared exhausted. She claimed she was traveling between villages and had lost her way. Her clothes were clean. Her speech was respectful. Nothing about her seemed threatening. Against local custom, the man allowed her inside. That decision marked the beginning of the bond. The woman stayed for several days, then several weeks. She cooked. She cleaned. She spoke very little about herself, but behaved exactly as a devoted partner would. Neighbors noticed the man looked healthier at first, less lonely, more stable, but they also noticed strange details. The woman never went outside during the day. She avoided shrines and religious objects, and she was always gone before sunrise. When asked about her family or village, she changed the subject. The man ignored these signs. In folklore, this stage is always described as the most dangerous when everything feels normal. Over time, the man began to grow weak. He slept longer hours. He stopped visiting neighbors. His crops were neglected. Some versions of the story say his body felt cold even during summer. Villagers warned him to seek a priest. He refused. That night, he confronted the woman and demanded the truth. She did not deny it. She only said that now the bond was complete. In some versions of the legend, the man is found dead days later, with no wounds and no signs of struggle. In others, he vanishes entirely, leaving behind a house that smells of incense and decay. What remains consistent is this: the woman is never seen again, and the house is abandoned. Villagers believe the spirit had fed on the man's life force, sustained by emotional attachment rather than violence. The land around the house was avoided for generations. This legend was not meant to explain ghosts. It was meant to explain behavior. It warned against isolation, against secrecy, against forming bonds without community oversight. In traditional society, survival depended on social visibility. Anything that pulled someone into secrecy was considered dangerous, human or not. Spirit spouse legends reinforced that belief. Across Japan, dozens of variations of this story exist. Different villages, different names, different details, but the ending never changes. The relationship always begins peacefully. The danger always comes later, and the human always pays the price. If these stories were only imagination, they would have evolved into happier endings. So why didn't they?